This president deserves the support of the Black community because he's earned it.
There is a silent majority of us that see you, see what you're doing, see what you did for HBCU schools. That was actually the deal for us.
I wager to say that there is no American president since Lincoln that has had the impact for Black America that President Trump has had.
Joe Biden supported the crime bill in '94.
He has imprisoned Black America, basically.
Trump supported the NAACP and Black youth like myself in '87.
He's a businessman. He's bringing businesses back into America.
Bringing jobs back to America.
Bringing the truth back, and he's stopping needless wars.
My day is going to be amazing. I'm never going to forget this day. This day is historic.
In 2016, I made you a solemn pledge. I would be your greatest champion. In the first 3 years, we achieved the lowest Black unemployment rate in history. We achieved the largest job gains for African Americans on record. The poverty rate for African Americans reached the lowest level ever recorded. I did more for the Black community in 47 months than Joe Biden did in 47 years.
We cannot deny that that man has done everything that he has set out to do in record-breaking time. Can we say 3 years? Can we say 3 years?
We will create 3 million new jobs for the Black community. Open 500,000 new Black-owned businesses. Bring even greater fairness to the justice system. We did criminal justice reform.
I want to thank President Donald John Trump.
Create a every parent in America. Together we made unbelievable progress and achieved once unimaginable success. And with your support, your vote, and your voice, the best is yet to come.
You can expect us to come out in droves in your support. For absolute certainty. That's a certainty.
Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome back to the Standard of Truth podcast, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. Y'all, this is like my third time attempting to go live today. YouTube shut your girl down. It was tragic. I got a community guidelines strike, and they had locked your girl up in jail. And I got a nice little message from YouTube saying that you can't post or go live or upload or do anything for 7 days. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me? So I was willing to accept my punishment. But then I noticed something interesting. I'm like, wait a minute. There are several other YouTubers. We all were attempting to stream the inauguration. And I'm like, I'm sitting here looking at 2 other YouTubers streaming the exact same inauguration from the exact same source. Why are they allowed to stream? And not only did I get a community guidelines, but I got a strike violation. Like, they put me in YouTube jail. So I said, all right, I could cry over the spilled milk. I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to appeal. So I did the little appeal process, and, I took the little community guidelines training, and they're like, we'll get back to you in 72 hours. And I'm like, oh my word, like this is so not fair. And then all of a sudden I'm on the back end of YouTube, and I can see the video that they pulled down, but the restrictions are not there. And then I was like, okay, well, let me just see. So I attempted to do like a quick little community post that just said test, and I hit post, and it went through. I was like, oh, snap. I said, well, YouTube, I have learned my lesson. You do not have to worry about me streaming any more events like that ever again. I said, we will not be doing that. I said, but I do think that it'd be a shame to let the red dress go to waste. Like, I woke up all early wearing my red because I wanted to celebrate with so many individuals in my community and in my audience that have been looking forward to this day where Donald Trump, 47th, y'all see, there you go again, 47th president of the United States is back in the office. The Don is back, and we are here to celebrate. So I wasn't about to let the red dress go to waste, okay? I was like, if I just got to sit around in this bad boy all day long until it's time to cook dinner, I will. So I decided to come back on live with you guys. So we're not looking at any of the festivities, the parade, the event. Y'all got to go watch that somewhere else. However, what I did wanted to do, I wanted to kind of talk about a few things that happened during the inauguration festivities, like the actual swearing in ceremony. And then I want to take a look at what do you guys think we can expect in a second Trump presidency. I understand that Donald John Trump is a very polarizing figure. You either love him, hate him, or remotely you try to tolerate him. And I get that. And a lot of people, when I initially publicly demonstrated my political support for this candidate, people were telling me, they're going to try to cancel you, and, you just should keep that to yourself. And I'm like, listen, if I'm for you, or if I'm for something, or if I'm in your corner, I'm in your corner. And then when I'm not, I'm just not. It's real binary for me. And so if you're just joining us and you were not here during like the countdown and the pre-show footage, all of that footage, you guys, that I showed you before I came on camera, that's my footage. That's my personal footage, except for the Trump commercial. Back in 2020, when Trump rolled out the platinum plan, this was when he was attempting to run for office the second time. I was actually at that event. Like, I was in the room. It was myself and my my boys at the time, and they stuck a mic in my face, and they asked me my honest opinion on what I thought of Trump's first term, and what I was looking for the second go round. And I shared my thoughts and had no idea that it was going to be used in a Trump commercial. And now, 4 years later, we are back again We are back again, and we've gone through many trials and toils and snares. But thanks be to God, by God's grace, we are here. And I want to talk about some of the things that we could possibly look forward to under a Trump presidency. But more importantly than that, there are actually some executive orders that the ink ain't even dry yet that Donald Trump has implemented. And as I saw someone in the live chat say, I saw someone actually say, we finally are going to get an opportunity to get back to some common sense. And that's sad. That is a shame that these types of executive orders have to even be discussed. It's sad that something as simple as saying, hey, there's only two genders, but in case you are confused, I have to codify this as the commander-in-chief because too many people in this country seem to have gone plumb crazy, right? Like the insane asylum, the inmates in the insane asylum are now running the darn country. And so now we had to course correct and have just some basic common sense re-enter the White House. Another thing that I wanted to say is that as I looked at the inauguration ceremony, I started thinking back to, we got to see Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. They were there. We saw George Bush and Laura Bush there. And we saw Joe and Jill Biden there. And as I looked and I put each of these presidents on a continuum, like on a spectrum, what I realized is when I examined all of those former presidents, and then I examined what Joe Biden did to this country, Bill and Hillary Clinton almost look like they are conservatives compared to the Looney Tune left that we've had to contend with these past 4 years. You would think, and I don't hide it. So if you're new here and you just like me for my theological content, I should just let you know I absolutely despise the liberal left and progressivism. I don't like the ideology. The worldview is trash. It's anti-God. It's anti-human flourishing. So if that offends you, I'm sorry, but that's just who I am. But what I noticed is that even Bill Clinton, when he attempted to try to, kind of hint during his presidency that he was pro same-sex marriage and, trying to let gays into the military, America was like, whoa, pump your brakes, pimpin'. That is not the direction we're going in. And Bill Clinton had enough sense to be like, if I want to win a second term, I got to dial this back. So he started sounding more conservative and was leaning toward the center as opposed to going further left. You would think the Democrats at this point would recognize that America is not this far left, deranged group of insane asylum escapees. Most Americans, we party in the box, right there in the middle, right? We're just like, listen, you can do whatever it is you want to do in the privacy of your own home, in your own bedroom, with whoever you want, but leave that. Your sexual proclivities, leave that to you and yours. We don't want to know about it. We don't want to hear about it. We don't want to see it, smell it. No, we don't want that. Leave the kids alone and keep your business, right? Bill Clinton had enough sense to know that when he was attempting to get too far left, he yanked himself back real quick and was able to win a re-election, right? Then that's when you had Newt Gingrich was a speaker, and life was just like, okay, they tried it, but no. Joe Biden completely they went so far left that it took somebody like a Donald Trump to have to come in and be like, y'all done lost your minds. I got to come in and just get us normal. And y'all have heard me say plenty of times, I don't necessarily think that Donald Trump is this true blue conservative like that. He's actually probably very socially liberal on some things, but he just looks far right because the left is so far left. The idea of deleting babies up until the 9th month and having, mobile baby deletion centers at your convention. Like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong? Like, what made you think that that would be a good look and that America as a nation would support the womb assassination? And not just that, but let's make it so accessible that when you come to the Democratic National Convention, if you happen to be pregnant and are not sure if you want to keep it or not, we have a solution right here for you. You can just go get that taken care of. Like, before you get your swag back and go into the convention, we got an abortion waiting for you. Like, that's what we were contending with. And so, one of the first things that I am noticing that President Trump is going to do, he's got some executive orders. These are a few things that we can expect based on what he campaigned on, and he's not wasting any time. I told you, the ink ain't even dry. Trump is signing several executive orders, but the one that I am most interested in, I can't say most interested. I'm interested in so many of them, but the one that is super important to me is the one proclaiming that there are only 2 biological sexes, halting diversity programs. So NBC News reported that President Trump on Monday, today, signed an executive order proclaiming that the U.S. government will recognize only 2 sexes, male and female, and ending radical and wasteful diversity, equity, and inclusion programs inside federal agencies. So his thing is like, you in the private sector, if you are a corporate conglomerate and you think DEI is working for you, have at it. You can have that. But at the federal level, inside federal agencies, we're not playing that foolishness. You are either a man or a woman, and we're not doing any of that DEI. You compete based on meritocracy. May the best man or woman win. Full stop. It says the officials grouped both orders under the Trump administration's wider Restoring Sanity agenda. Isn't that a shame? Isn't it a shame that we have to label something as simple and binary and just, I don't know, a self-evident truth that there are only 2 sexes? They have to name it Restoring Sanity, implying that the inverse of that was insanity. And it was. It is insane. When I listened to Candace Owens sit down with Nick Cannon, and she had to explain to this whole grown man that gender is not how you feel, Negro. You either are this or that. You're not slow. You know this. You didn't grow up believing this. You didn't do a scientific study and ascertain this. This is a self-evident truth that you know. A whole grown man sitting there with a turban on his head like, well, I mean, some people might feel, so therefore. And she's looking at him like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? So you're telling me that if a person is absolute in how they feel, and we're not discrediting how you feel, what we're saying is how you feel, it is pushing against observable reality and what we know to be objectively true. Truth is not transitory and subjective based on the person. If 2 + 2 is 4, over here, when Susie Q over there say 2 + 2 is 5, you can say, nah, Susie, you're wrong. And you should be comfortable and okay with telling Susie she's wrong. Susie don't get to change objective truth. And when I saw Candace having to sit down with a whole grown man with a turban on his head and explain that to him, that lets you know that the crazy town, the crazy folk had entered the room. And so the orders were detailed by an incoming official on a phone call Monday ahead of Trump's swearing in. So the official presented the gender order as part of a policy, quote, defending women from gender ideology extremism and restoring biological truth to the federal government. I would like to ask all of my melanated brethren who are watching this live stream, who for whatever reason, just struggled to cast a ballot, even if they had to hold their nose for Donald Trump. This is an indictment on our former leadership that a president actually has to do this. How do you explain this? Because here's what's so concerning to me. What's so concerning to me is that there are Black people who have drunk the Kool-Aid, who would rather, they're so insulated to the propaganda, or should I say, they have so bought into the propaganda of Trump is a racist, Trump is a racist, Trump is a racist, that they can't even say, okay, I believe that, but the man is trying to be a stopgap to push the insanity that is clearly happening. How are the older baby boomers and those in the silent generation, how do you sleep at night knowing that you cast your vote for a woman who wanted to go full speed ahead with this foolish gender ideology? How do you sleep at night? You've grandchildren. You mean to tell me that you were okay with your grandchildren having to grow up and contend in a world where truth is not truth anymore, that they would be forced to call a biological man who likes to play dress up in a dress, they have to call him a woman, and you're okay with that? How did you, as the older, wiser, you've lived way too long to be this foolish? Somebody had to step in and take the reins and say, Mima and Papa, I don't know what they going through, but the hatred in their heart because of that trigger word racism has blinded them to the fact that this is the only candidate. He's what we got. Okay? Yes, there could have been other candidates who ran who were less abrasive, but we didn't get that. So be an adult and say, well, I think it's problematic now that a man in a dress can just say he's a woman and we're obligated to believe that. Trump had to step in and do this as an executive order. Yet there are people who can't even see something as basic as that is like, we had to do what we had to do. Because you can't have a civilized society when the people in leadership, such as Ketanji Brown Jackson, can walk around and think it's okay and should be permissible to give young girls testosterone because they feel like a boy. So I'm like, you trying to tell me that you actually love children and are interested in protecting them from harm when you were willing to argue, not on the basis of science or medical expediency. You were willing to just go along with the ideology because that's what your side supports, as opposed to saying, this is harmful. This is harmful and wicked, and I don't know how I'm going to sleep at night because somebody's kid is going to celebrate my decision to allow her to take testosterone today, and in 5 and 10 years, she is going to be looking at me and say, how could you have allowed this to happen? And you claim that you were for love and inclusivity and just wanting, looking out for my best interests. So anyway, are y'all doing okay out there? Y'all doing okay? Okay. Right. Yeah, Trump ain't racist. They can say it. They love to label. I told you. The liberal left is very good at crafting shareable narratives, and they prey on the fact that because Black Americans in this country have had a very shaky and hostile relationship in this country, they play on that. They play on the fact that at one point, particularly in the South, there were ethnicities who were just struggling to figure out how do we move forward. And they also struggle with the fact that, yes, because the Democrats have always been the party of subjugation and lawlessness and oppression and bully tactics, they struggle they used that as a way to gain and keep power. And sadly, people that look like me buy into it because it is emotionally acceptable to believe a lie than to confront and embrace the truth. That's just a fact. Listen, someone said Jamal Bryant's going around apologizing to these blasphemous pastors, shaming. Yeah. Well, he's an apostate. So, we should not be surprised that he's doing that. But here's the other order, or the other aspect of this executive order that's also really important that you might not be aware of. The order will also prevent taxpayer funds from being used for gender transition healthcare and add privacy and intimate spaces in facilities such as prisons, migrant shelters, and GRAPE, sexual assault shelters. That part is super important because I don't want my taxpayer dollars used. It's bad enough you already stealing my money, because to me, in my opinion, income taxation, that kind of taxation is theft. You're already stealing from me. But then you're going to take my money and use it for nefarious purposes by either, I'm big on, I don't want my money being used to pay for abortion. Just like I don't want my money being used to fund gender transition, provide any sort of gender affirming care. But the other thing that Trump did, the second order detailed that he intends to end radical and wasteful government DEI programs and prefacing inside the federal government. Now, obviously that's federal, still at the state level. Like if a state school is getting money from the federal government, this would probably apply to them. I'm not sure. I need to look into that. But what they do plan to do is assess what type of DEI programs are still discriminating against Americans and then figure out ways to end them. I'm all for that, and here's why. My forefathers, because I told y'all, I'm an American Negro in the vein of Booker T. Washington and those are my people. My forefathers were ones that understood how to function in their freedom. And they struggled to get other American Negroes and first generation freedmen to understand that, listen, you are free. Now you have to learn how to function in your freedom. You no longer need to, look to the master to take care of you. You got to learn how to be self-sufficient. And not only that, you add value to this nation. It is incumbent upon you to figure out what is it that you can do to add value. Can you make something? Can you build something? Is there a service that you can provide? Do you have a skill that makes you useful? If you can figure that out, because God has given all of us gifts, talents, and abilities, if you can figure out what that is, you can compete in the open market to be the best at whatever it is that you've set your hand to do. And people, believe it or not, regardless of the fact of what color you look like, they will reward you and exchange for value the consideration that you're giving with the product or the service. It's how capitalism works. It's how the North managed to flourish and the South was still stuck and left behind because they were still on all this segregation BS, and people up North were trying to tell them, listen, we can't even bring viable trade down to the region because y'all got all this Jim Crow stuff. You're impeding progress. If you want to hate black people, fine. But this bread that I'm trying to put in your pocket is green. Get over it. We got to open up the marketplace and let's do some business. And it's the same thing with this DEI stuff. This DEI is bad for business. If you run a corporation, now I've never run a Fortune 500 company, but in my small little section of Rockdale County, I used to own a retail establishment. And I had to tell an employee once, I was like, listen, we don't sell ideas here. We sell products and beautify spaces. So unless your rhetoric includes how we can do that and do it better for those people out there that are counting on us to serve this community, leave all your woke foolishness, and your Trump derangement, leave it at the door. Don't come in here with that foolishness. And she didn't like it, but if she wanted to keep her job, leave your personal, how you feel about what's going on in this country, leave that out there. We beautify spaces and we sell product. We don't sell ideas. These corporate conglomerates are realizing that DEI was harming them because they were making hiring decisions. I know the woke justicians try to tell you that, no, DEI is just about making sure other people get a seat at the table. Yes, but at the expense of skill and qualification. And the reason why we know that to be true, because everywhere DEI is being tried, it is failing. It is failing, and it's because we are placing an emphasis and we are elevating something intrinsic that you can't even control, which is the gender you were born and the ethnicity that you happen to be expressed in. We were placing an emphasis on those things, and they give no indication to how well you are equipped to do your job. Furthermore, I was talking to a friend the other day. Think about it from this perspective, y'all. How can you say you want diversity and then in the next breath say you want equality? Those two cannot coexist. Diversity implies that there are going to be some strengths that you have that I don't, and then there are going to be strengths that you have that I have that you don't. And I might be better at one thing than you, and you might be better at one thing than me, but together we're adding value. How do you say you want diversity? But then you're like, but it needs to be equal. That's not diverse. That's sameness. That's homogeneity. That's stupid, in other words. It's stupid. Yeah, DEI is stupid. You cry about, we just want to overcome and be treated as equals, but yet you still want to be babied and pacified and be like, come on, let me give you a little step up. Come on. Like, look, stand on your own 2 feet and learn to function in your freedom. No one respects a person that has to. Y'all remember growing up? Now I'm from the Bronx, right? So in the hood, this is how we used to do it. In the Bronx, on the block, you always had, we're going to race, right? Did any of you ever respect a kid that you had to give a head start to because they was probably like a little overweight or something? No, you didn't respect that person. Like, you felt pity for them. You felt sorry for them because my thing was, oh, you fast? You claim to be the fastest on the block? Well, prove it. And even if I thought I was the fastest, if I lost, it's like, well, I'm not the fastest. That person is the fastest. The person that was the fastest was the one who got the respect. You didn't respect the kid that you had to give a head start to. In fact, the little whining kid that was just like, can I get a head start? You'd be like, you ain't even good enough to play with us. Like, it's one thing for you to get down on your mark, get set, go, and you the slowest and you lose. At least you earn the respect of everybody else who agreed to race. It was that kid that was whining and crying, talking about, I never get to win, and why can't you give me a head start? That was the little kid that you didn't want following you around. They couldn't be in the clique. And when you saw them coming, you'd be like, nah, they can't play because all they gonna do is want a head start. And you don't respect the one that feels that they always have to have. You got to always give them something. You respect the one that is willing to compete, even if they lose and come in last place. That was always the kid. And you be like, come on, TikTok, the game is locked. You can play, but not that one over there. That's just how it is. You don't have to like it. I know if you grew up in the helmet, knee pad generation, this analogy is probably over your head because you probably were in school and said, well, we have to let everybody play. Even little Timmy who walks in a walker. Timmy in a walker can't run. He got Special Olympics for him. Timmy in a walker cannot race with the rest of us. It's just no shade to Timmy. We love Timmy. But Timmy, this ain't his weight class, right? Anyway, yeah, I know, right? Somebody asked, what are my thoughts on legacy university admissions? Can you qualify that by being more specific? Are you talking about like maybe like old school affirmative action? Is that what you mean? Listen, Liv, baby Timmy got to learn to play just like the rest of us. Now, truth be told, when I was in middle school, there was a girl who had cerebral palsy. Her name was Kwam. Beautiful girl. Oh, she was so pretty. But she had cerebral palsy, and she used to walk with the braces. Let me tell you something. Kwam would get mad if we tried to give her special treatment. Like, if we tried to make accommodations in the game for her, she would get highly upset. She was like, don't let these braces fool you. Don't let the braces fool you. Her thing was, and it's funny that this story comes to mind. Her thing was, okay, yes, I have these braces, but I'm asking to play in your game. Do not make special accommodation for me. Treat me like everybody else. I'm a kid on the playground. I just want to play. I know I'm going to probably come in last, but so the heck what? She felt like we would be robbing her of dignity and respect if we diminished what we were capable of doing just so that she could win. Kwam did not like that. She did not like that. It's the same. That's how I view DEI. Your peers, your professional colleagues, they don't respect you if you have to use some sort of special program so that you can get a seat at the table. Your gifts, skills, and talents should make room for you. They should. And we should be at a point in this country where we are past looking at people on the basis of ethnicity. That is so un-American. But to answer your question, someone asks, right, listen. See, Mickey's being nice. Mickey's being nice. She's saying if you were out of shape, you'd be the last one picked. I'm not afraid to say if you was the fat kid, yes, you was last. You was last. And why? Because we were like, no, we can't put him on the team because he be panting and stuff and sweating on everybody. Like, no. That's just how it was back then. And in my generation, it wasn't a lot of those anyway. It was very rare that there was a fat kid in school. We only had one. We only had like one. Now it's just like, 7 out of 10 kids is like chubby. No shade if your kid is chubby, but we got to do better. You got to do better. Listen, nobody said that this channel was politically correct. It's just not. I'm not policing my speech because it hurts your feelings. I'm not doing it. Grace Point, that's nephew. Nephew said he feels attacked because he's out of shape. Anyway, like to keep blacks tied to the pain of the past. They do because it's profitable for them and they benefit. They benefit, Jim, from the pain of the past. And it's funny because most of these people, they have no concept of what it feels like to live under like really oppressive, segregated conditions. All they have are like references from movies and stories that they've been told, but they don't have any personal experience with that. In fact, if most people examine the scope of their life, they can maybe point to a few instances where someone treated them differently on the basis of their ethnicity. But for the most, and a lot of times, and I'm no shade, some of that is projection, and they assumed that's what it was, but they can't prove it. They can't prove it. I love you too, PM. But what else are we looking forward to? Trump referenced these orders in his inaugural address earlier today, saying in part that his administration would resist what he described as efforts to, I love this phrasing, socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life, end quote. He added that his administration would forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. I'm going to push back and say, we don't need a society that's colorblind. Don't be blind to the fact that I'm a black woman. That's who I am. What I need you to do is, you don't need to be blind to it, but you don't need to go out of your way to celebrate it, point it out, or elevate it. You don't have to be blind. Acknowledge I am who I am, because I can't help it. But deal with merit. Merit-based. It's called May the best person win. It's that simple. And if you're not the best, be better. Do better. Strengthen your, this makes for a very intellectually lazy society, to why we can't compete on the world stage right now, because we're too engrossed into all of this gender and ethnic ideology. You think people over in Asia are trying to create DEI programs? They're like, no, be the best. And if you can't compete, get out the way. Over in India, I would argue that they have a class issue, but even that their class caste system, it's based on the haves and the have-nots. Like, you ain't got no money? Well, do better. Figure it out. But no one is going to feel sorry and have sympathy for you. They're not going to do that. And so here's the other aspect. Or should I say, this is the pushback that the LGBTQ advocates, this is how they've reacted. So Jennifer Pizer, who is the chief legal officer at Lambda Legal, which is a civil rights organization that litigates on behalf of LGBTQ Americans, she said that, quote, the president can't, with a wave of a pen, change the reality of who people are and the fact that we as a community of people exist. He never said that. He never said that he is desired to change who you are. What he said is that we have to reinforce and establish some fundamental truths, and that is that there are only two sexes. You can be or feel however you want. But what is objectively true, you don't get to dictate public policy, bend the knee and bow the knee to how you feel. That's essentially what the president is saying. She goes, we have equal protection rights just like anybody else. There are no rights that these people do not have that the rest of us get to enjoy. They can have commerce, interstate, intrastate. They can come and go wherever they please. They are free to apply for any job that they want. They can go to any school that they want. What we are arguing is that we're not making special accommodations for you because this is how you feel. For example, if I said, I feel the best version of myself when I walk around and demand that people call me a penguin. I dress in black and white everywhere I go. I got a cute little bow tie that I put around my neck, right? I'm slicking my hair down, to make sure it's nice and smooth. Like I'm in my penguin era. I'm free to feel like a penguin. What I cannot demand is that coworkers refer to me as Pinguisha, right? I cannot walk around and say that I need a special accommodation. I need a penguin-only bathroom because I don't feel safe using bathroom with, you mortal humans. I'm penguin. I need penguin bathrooms that are painted only in black and white. I need icebergs in them so I can feel like I'm in my natural habitat. Like, do you see you see how dumb I sound right now? So when this legal officer at Lambda Legal makes a statement saying we have equal protection rights, you're right. You already have them. There are no new rights or an absence of rights that this community does not get to enjoy. There are none. Someone name a right that these people that they don't have that the rest of us get to enjoy. We're not saying that you can't love who you love. We're not saying that you can't even get down in the bedroom with whoever it is you want to get down with. What you do in your private life is on you. But what you cannot do is come to the workplace and demand that we call you. You want us to lie so that you feel comfortable and accept it. When we don't live in the world and engage with the rest of society on the basis of they need to make me feel accepted. That's not how this works. And it's gone so far that now it is almost linguistic violence for me to say the things that I'm saying because we've been tiptoeing around the tulips for so long that, when Tyrone believes he is Tina, we're like, he's Tina now. And the rest of us are supposed to be like, oh, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. And they want us to play along. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. I ain't play along with that stupid scandemic. I ain't playing along with this gender ideology. I'm just not playing along with none of this. I'm not built like that. Right? Like I would have been one of those, I would have been leading the first slave revolt. Okay? Me and Harriet would have been besties cuz I am not built for this ridiculous conformity that pushes up against objective reality. I'm just not built for that. I'm not a, well, we're just going to go along to get along because that's just not me. Anyway, here's the other thing that's going to happen. On passports, they're no longer going to play that funny business where you being other. You pick a struggle. You either male or female. You get to pick one. So that means, and then they're also, it means, for example, trans women serving time in women's prisons could in short order be moved to male prisons where they belong. Like it is a safety risk to put a biological male or one who claims to be, he believes he is a woman, to put a biological male in an all-female prison. To me, that is a breach of security. And I get it. Yes, these people are criminals, but the human dignity of women, just listen, if I'm going to get my behind beat up in jail, at least I want to be beat up by a female. Don't have a biological man in there who claims to be a woman. I don't want to share that space with him. That is just, that's sadistic. Let me see. There are a few other things that we can expect from Trump in terms of executive orders that he plans to put in place. And this one, I got a special treat for y'all with this one. President Trump plans to promise and follow through on issuing mass deportations immediately after taking office. Y'all, he is not playing with this. Trump said during his inaugural address that he would declare a national emergency at the southern border, and it is. We were invaded. And the people who lied to you for the past 4 years that continued to say the border was closed and it was secure, i.e. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, yeah, they were lying. And I don't understand. I get so tired of watching the liberal media lie and gaslight the American people. This is why y'all lost. This is why you lost and why you will continue to lose. Because people, just like I was watching Bakari Sellers earlier today. When I can't remember who it was. It may have been Scott Jennings who said the American people got tired of everyone on the left lying about Joe Biden's condition. And Bakari Sellers sat there with a straight face and said he didn't know that there was anything wrong with Joe Biden until the debate. That's what he said. And I'm like, so you're supposed to be the subject matter expert. And the political, you're supposed to be the political contributor, and you want us to believe and trust anything that comes out of your mouth when you're trying to convince us that you didn't know something was wrong with Joe. We knew something was wrong with Joe back in 2019. On the campaign trail, we were like, Joe's got early signs of dementia. Joe is showing signs of early onset Alzheimer's. I think Joe back then was in the middle stages of it. It wasn't the early stages. All that falling, symptomatic, his gait was missing, he couldn't focus, falling all over the place, messing up people's names. Listen, Bakari Sellers actually tried to argue that he didn't know that anything, and I was like, so you still out here lying, and you wonder why y'all keep losing. Are we gonna have a Democrat that at least says, you know what, I understand that we are supposed to present a united front, but for the sake of the country, I think it's best that we admit that Joe Biden was showing significant vulnerabilities as it relates to his cognitive function, and we allowed it to go a little bit too long. And that wasn't fair to the American people. We put party and wanting to remain in power over the well-being of our commander-in-chief. Like, they claim to love Joe so much, they don't give a darn about Joe. They put the care and concern for their commander-in-chief, they threw all of that aside for the sake of wanting to remain in power, and they ended up effectively destroying and tearing down the country in the process. That's what happened. But here's what I'm looking forward to. Illegal entry will be immediately will be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. I don't find that as a controversial statement at all. I find no problems with that statement. And I know who else doesn't find problems with that statement. Black people in Chicago who've had to live under this invasion, people in New York City, people in all of these sanctuary cities, they don't overwhelmingly have any problem with that statement. In fact, they demanded it, and that's why they cast their vote for Donald Trump. It says the state of emergency would allow the Defense Department to deploy the military and the National Guard to the border. Officials declined to elaborate on how many troops would be sent or the parameters of their actions, saying it would be up to the Defense Department to make those determinations. The Trump administration also said that it would end birthright citizenship, the right of children born in the U.S. to claim citizenship regardless of their parents' immigration status. So that means you don't just get to come over here and drop a baby and be like, oh, I'm a citizen now. No, take you and your illegal baby. Y'all got to go back. You got to go back. Here's why this matters. The 14th Amendment has been abused, and people have found or used it a loophole. For example, I did a video on the assistant district attorney up in Pennsylvania. He is an ADA and he's an illegal immigrant. Like, he is not a U.S. citizen, and he is prosecuting Americans all because of how this 14th Amendment has been misunderstood. The birthright citizenship has been understood to be required under the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which states all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. To change the Constitution would require approval from 2/3 of Congress and ratification by 3/4 of states, an extremely high bar. Democrats and some legal groups have vowed to challenge in court any Trump attempt to do away with birthright citizenship. They basically are misapplying that 14th Amendment, which was never intended for illegals or people who are in this country illegally dropping a baby. So here's what we're going to do now. I'm going to show you guys a video that gave me so much joy that I plan to reach out to this young lady and have her on my show because, listen, I can't tell you about it. I got to show it to you. Y'all ready? Y'all ready to watch this? Let me show y'all this.
Of the law, and where you going to run to when Trump pours that Trump card out on you?
There's a 10-year prison sentence when you want to stand up here for those illegals.
You all sit up there and said you will not allow Trump to come in here and get these illegals. Yeah, you can smile. We're in a $1 billion deficit. And you spent half of our money, half of that on illegals. You campaigned and doubled down that you would not raise property taxes. I ain't gonna do that. You campaigned, went around doing that. And here we are right now. You wanted to raise our taxes $300 million. They shut it down. Now we back here for $150 million. Okay. See, this is what we asking now. Since you want to crash out, some of y'all say y'all willing to go to jail for it. Trump, Tom Homan, make an example out this Negro right here first. Please come here first, because you know what? We're going to help you. We want to forensic.
Ma'am, I would ask that you
keep your,
hold on a second, stop her time. Stop her time. Just a second. Stop her time. Ma'am, I would ask that you, if you want to continue speaking, you have to make sure that your language is appropriate, okay? All right. Okay, you can begin her time again.
You're going to spend our tax dollars to go, Michael Rodriguez, you said to take Trump to court to protect these illegals. You said you're going to spend our tax dollars to take Trump to court to protect these illegals if they try to come in here in your district.
Y'all listen, I'm here for all the smoke. I am here for all the smoke because she gave Brandon Johnson the work. She gave him the business. And that communist needed it. Oh, that exchange warmed my heart so much. I already know which part was my favorite part. The part that was my favorite part, I might have to rewind it again because like my heart was just leaping with joy when she said, that Negro right there. I was like, get him, girl. Get it. These leftist, progressive, these evil people, how you gonna take their taxpayer money and use it to say we're willing to crash out and go to jail to defend defend the right for these illegals to stay here? When these residents in Chicago, they like, wait a minute. Y'all done rolled out the red carpet for these people. We've been here 3, 4, 5 generations. Are you kidding me? And Brandon Johnson don't even feel bad about this. And I'm glad that this happened. Y'all, we had to have 4 years of Joe Biden and his trash policies and cackling Kamala and her incoherent speech. Y'all, we had to go through this in order for a sense of sanity and normalcy. We needed to experience to see, oh, it's really bad. It hurt while we were going through it, and we still going through it. But we needed it. I want to engage with some of the things that she just said, because Chicago is in a $1 billion deficit, meaning they don't have the money to meet the expenses that they are required to cover. These fools, in order to raise some money, were trying to ask for them to pass a $300 million budget. And obviously, thank goodness, the people spoke up, was like, you are not raising our property taxes, because all they were going to do is take that money to take care of some illegals. They managed to strike it down from $300 million down to $150 million, which is still problematic. Why? Because he campaigned on the fact that he would not raise property taxes. But what's a lie to a communist, right? That's all they do is lie. He is beholden to making sure that he keeps those children dumb and uneducated, but keep bread in the pocket of the teachers' unions. He doesn't care if people lose their homes that have been in their family 3 and 4 generations. He don't care about none of that. Why? Because Democrats always subjugate and oppress and they create chaos where either none exists or they make matters worse because they cannot lead. This man was so interested in protecting illegals. How un-American is it for you to put the needs of people who were not born in this country ahead of the constituents that elected you? How trifling is that? And so I wanted to share that exchange because I thought it was amazing. I thought it was absolutely amazing that she verbally assaulted that man. And they are overwhelmingly pushing back against these policies. They're going to vote him out of office. But he needed to hear that. Now, mind you, notice how he wasn't fazed at all. Just don't call him a Negro. That's where he draw the line. You know, if you keep your... Honestly, I mean, she didn't say the N-word ER. She called him a Negro. I refer to myself as an American Negro. I don't see how that was offensive. But when she said Tom Homan and Donald Trump are coming in to get them illegals, that's what's going to happen. And you can fight and all those white liberals there claiming that they're going to stop big bad Trump and Tom Homan from doing what needs to be done. The black folks in that community are like, no, let them come because this is ridiculous. This is out of control. This needs to happen. Secure the border. President Biden did everything in his power to burn it all down on his way out. From selling supplies that were needed to reinforce and rebuild the border wall. From the time he got in office, he stopped construction on the border wall and actually would tear segments of it down. And then on his way out, selling the supplies that we would need. I don't see how Democrats in good conscience can be like, you know what? Electing a Democrat right now is good for the country. These people demonstrate that they hate the country and are willing to do whatever it takes to tear it down and make it worse. You don't have to be a Republican. You don't have to be a Republican. But to overwhelmingly support the Democrat Party after you see what they are willing to do to you as an American citizen, I'm looking at you like, what's wrong with you that you can't see this? Where the heck have you been? These people are evil. They make sure your communities stay poor and dilapidated. They want crime to be high. They want people homeless. Now, they don't say this, but this is what their policies yield. The idea of defunding the police, they campaign on that. Oh, I'm sorry. It is passé to say defund the police. It's reimagine police. They want to reimagine police. They want to disarm you by convincing you that gun buyback programs are good and that all of this crime would be squashed if we just got the guns off the street. No, I need my gun. I need the gun that's in my nightstand drawer. I need the gun that's over the stove. Like, I need the gun that's all over up and through here in this house. Because the moment that Taquayshawn start feeling froggy, oh yeah, he gonna feel some heat. And that's the only way. The weak are always conquered by the strong. The weak are always conquered when they are vulnerable and can't defend themselves. Democrats want to keep you disarmed, unable to defend yourself, because they want you to rely and put your faith and trust in the government versus saying, it is my duty to protect me and mine and myself. And if every individual in the community is armed to protect themselves, criminals will think twice before trying to do something to the vulnerable, because they're like, everybody could be packing. I don't really know. I don't know who's packing or not. I ain't about to take that chance. Let me acknowledge some of these super chats. My phone is blowing up. I'm trying to figure out. Everybody's texting me. I don't know. I'm live, y'all. I'm live. Amethyst Angel, thank you so much for that super chat. But let me start here with Brother Lamont. I don't have my sound effects. I'm so sorry, y'all. Actually, let me see if I can get them. The live stream is not the same without the sound effects. So let's see what we can do. Let's see what I can find. Lamont says, April, I am glad Trump is back on the scene. Brother, so am I. You have no idea how grateful to God I am for that. You guys, was that too loud? Let me know if that was too loud, because that was loud for me. So if that was loud for me, I know that was loud for y'all. Oh my word, I'll turn it down. I'm sorry. I don't want y'all to go deaf. Thank you, Brother Lamont. I'm grateful. You know, we're doing better than we deserve. Trump is so imperfect and he's incredibly flawed. But he's about the only one with common sense that could put the fear of God in our enemies right now. Notice how so many of our enemies, when Trump got back, was about to be put back into office, all of a sudden now we have hostages that are being released. We have a ceasefire. It's been, October 7th. When was the attack? When did Hamas attack Israel? Was that 2023? That was 2023. All this time, all Trump had to do was say, if you don't come to some ceasefire and release these hostages, it's going to be hell to pay. He spoke the word, and they were like, you know what, we don't. They weren't afraid of Biden because he weak. And Kamala wasn't scaring and intimidating nobody. They needed an alpha man to assert his authority and say, this is how this is going down. You're going to do this, this, and this. And if you don't, you got to cancel Christmas. It's going to be lights out. I will blow the whole region up. And you know I will do it because you know I'm crazy. You know I'm crazy. That's basically the energy. That was that alpha male energy that Trump had to give in order to get these people to do what he needed them to do. Now, somebody say, oh my gosh, just a dictator. No, that's just leadership. Because none of us, if you were in this country from 2016 to 2020, when Trump was in office, you cannot say in good faith that you lived under a dictatorship. You sound crazy if you say that. And you live in an alternate reality. That did not happen overwhelmingly. But Trump's back in, and he's the master negotiator. We're going to get some bread in our pocket, Lord willing. And we're going to get some act right. Because the crazy people are in charge. Well, we're in charge. I'm going to tell y'all who else I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing what Kash Patel's going to do. Kash Patel running the FBI. Kash got like that crazy eight looking eyes. I like that about him. I like that the eyes look a little, you know what I'm saying? Like, listen, I'm here for it. Brother Bob, thank you so much for the super chat. Oh, that's still loud. Bob says, inauguration video comment. Go April. Yay. Thank you, Brother Bob. I'm sorry, you guys, that the live stream from earlier today did not go off like we planned. But I'm grateful just to be on the YouTube because I had gotten a notification that I was going to be in what I call YouTube jail for a week, where I wouldn't be able to post or live stream or upload anything. And so I am grateful that, you know, my voice is unleashed. But I can tell you what, we're not going to be live streaming no more other events. I can't take the chance. We'll talk about it afterwards, but I'm not streaming no more events because not doing it. Let's see. Hey, Sister Amethyst. Amethyst Angel in the house. She says, let's never forget Texas Governor Greg Abbott shipping those uninvited foreigners to the cities that had open arms. Thank you, Governor Abbott. Sometimes you have to give people what they ask for to help them understand that ain't what they really want. It's kind of like with children. You know, children, you know, I wish I could just stay up as late as I want and eat what I want. You're like, okay, go. Here's 3 pounds of candy. You can eat all this candy. You can stay up as late as you want. You let a child do that. And when that stomach ache hit, they're going to be like, you know what, I thought that's what I wanted, but it ain't what I wanted. We had to go through that. Governor Abbott had to send the illegals to the place that said that we wanted them. You got sanctuary city status? Fine. Here you go. Here you go. I'm excited. That's all I got to say. I'm excited. We also have Sister Donna in the house. Sister Donna sends a super sticker. Thank you so much, Sister Donna, for your support. Thank you for showing up to the live chat today. Like I said, I apologize that we were unable to watch many of the inauguration festivities together, but we are here now and it is all good. I'm grateful for all of the love and the support that you guys give this channel because we are making a difference, you guys. So many content creators all through 2024 who was just I'm talking about uppercuts, giving uppercuts and knockouts to the left every chance we got. I believe it was because of the content we were creating, the truth that we were unveiling, the persistent nature that we kept hitting on the same things over and over again to wake people up. It made a difference. And my goal was to siphon as many as possible, as many votes as possible from the Democrat Party. And I believe we achieved that because now not only are the Democrats bleeding for cash, but what the country is realizing is that, wait a minute, like people who were like, I don't like the direction this country is going in. I'm not racist. I'm not homophobic, but I don't like all of this. What people have realized is that their neighbor next to them is like, you know what? I don't like this either. I don't think this is going to be fruitful if the country keeps going this way. And more people got the courage, even if they didn't publicly say that they didn't like it, they made their voice heard in that voting booth and overwhelmingly pushed back against the direction that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, had she won, was going to take the country in. They knew she was weak. They knew she didn't have the ability to lead. And I think people also knew that Kamala would not have been the commander-in-chief. It would have been whoever was pulling Joe Biden's strings. It was going to be those people. And America didn't want that. They didn't feel confident that Kamala could run the country and keep us safe. She couldn't even negotiate to get the hostages home. She couldn't even get Ben Netanyahu, you know what I'm saying, to do what needed to be done, but Donald Trump did. Now, of course, they're going to try to take credit for it, but they know. People were afraid of Teflon Don coming back in office, and they didn't want that kind of smoke. You saw Mark Zuckerberg bow the knee. You saw so many of these tech giants talk about, ooh, how much money you need for the inauguration? I got you. I think I got $1 million on it. What you think? $1 million's good? Yeah, I'll give $1 million too. That's what we saw. I think it's important to keep your friends close and your enemies closer. And that's what we are probably witnessing with Donald Trump extending, or should I say accepting, the olive branch that the tech giants, the CEOs of these tech companies, have put out. I do have a video forthcoming talking about Mark Zuckerberg and the shenanigans that he was playing during 2020 and during the pandemic. Y'all, I got deplatformed off of Facebook. I got put in Facebook jail so many times that it really turned me off from the platform. And now I'm still over there, but I don't really engage on that platform like I used to. I definitely, had not been running ads for my business. I just was not interested. I checked out of Facebook a long time ago. And all this time, I was never interested in Twitter because I thought Twitter was just too fast and I didn't understand it. But when Elon Musk bought Twitter, I was like, okay, I'll participate. And I joined Twitter and found that, yes, the discourse, it was a little bit more vitriolic, but it was like, it's freedom of speech. So it felt good to tweet Barack Obama and tell him he was trash for that speech that he gave those black men on the campaign trail. Like, that felt good. I should have been allowed to say that. I didn't threaten him. I just said, yo, that speech was trash, bro. Like, you don't have the influence that you think you do in the black community. And I just want to let you know that. But Corey, good to see you. Good to see you, Corey. Corey says Teflon Don is about to sign these executive orders. So exciting. Thank you, April, for being part of my awakening. Brother Corey, praise God. To God be the glory. I am just paying it forward. And what I mean by that is that there was someone, I wasn't born a conservative. I wasn't raised a political conservative. I had my conservative awakening over the course of time after being exposed to content like this, after becoming a Christian, after becoming a wife and a mom, and realizing that liberalism went against everything that I was teaching my children. I was like, no, I can't be a liberal because I don't want my children to believe that there are more than two genders. I can't be a liberal because I don't want my children to believe that there are other configurations of families that are just as valid as the one they grew up in. I was like, no, there's a right way to raise a child. And there's a worldview that is just consistent with what we've believed through all antiquity. And then third, I said, I can't be a Christian holding to some of this foolishness. It is wrong to assassinate babies in the womb. I was like, how am I supposed to You want me to hate Donald Trump, and I get it. His rhetoric is a little divisive, but that didn't bother me because I'm from New York. I was like, I'm used to men who talk like that. I'm used to that. But I was like, they want me to hate Donald Trump, yet his policies are working not just for me and my family, but they work for America. I was like, we should have school choice. Children should not be forced to stay in a poor or underperforming school just because Democrats say that this is how it needs to be. I didn't like that. I am a home educator. And so because I home educate my child, I think all parents, if you want to home educate, you should be allowed to. But if you want to send your child to a school that is not in their zone district and you want to send them to a charter school, you pay tax dollars for education. Why can't you take that money and that money follow your child? It's your kid. I'm not trying to subsidize the education of somebody else's child. So I'm paying it forward, Brother Corey, because there was someone, I started hearing conservative voices while I was on my journey. And the more I learned, the more passionate I became. And it was literally just a matter of my Christian worldview aligning with the politics that I was starting to adopt. That's really what it is. I am a Christian first, plain and simple. And so I am not going to support leftist progressive policies because they just don't align with my Christian worldview. I'm being consistent. The people that confuse me are the Bible-believing Christians whose politics don't align their biblical worldview. I'm like, how have you compartmentalized your life like this? How are you shepherding your children? How are you out here making disciples, supporting womb assassination and transgenderism and drag queen story hour? Like, you don't see how that's not compatible? Like, you really think it's good and safe for biological men who want to cosplay to use the bathroom with your daughters and your grandkids? Like, you don't see nothing wrong with that? Oh, well, if you don't see nothing wrong with that, then that's on you. But for me, that's problematic. Let's see. Amethyst says her new quote is, my new quote for Trump to use, I will show you better than I told you. Listen, I like that. He is, with his actions, demonstrating that he is a fearless leader. And I think one of the turning points, at least in my opinion, that assassination attempt, I know a lot of men were like, you know what, that's respect right there. Because he may have been afraid, he may have been concerned for his life, but in that moment, he was like, I have to exhibit strength because the people out there need to know that I'm okay. And when that man rose from the ashes, talking about fight, I was like, listen. He just won the election. I was like, he just won. He just won the election. Even Mark Zuckerberg was like, yo, that was a gangster move. Trump won that election because they had thrown everything at him. All of these stupid cases, the documents trial, the case that Letitia's working on, and then Alvin Bragg, all of these cases with the lawfare and all of the money he had to spend to defend himself. Then they try to kill him not once, but twice. And he still rises above all of that and is able to convince people who vehemently hated his guts that he was the better candidate. That's American ingenuity. I'm sorry. It just is. But anyway, all right, you guys. I wanted to show you guys that clip. Shanice said, you come for the king, you better not miss. And they missed. They absolutely missed. They missed. And I think, I'm wondering what Kamala's feeling right now. I hope she has plans to exit politics, never to be seen again. I don't think so. She's probably a little too arrogant for that. She probably thinks that she actually has the chance running for something and winning. I don't know how that's gonna work. She can't rely on her looks anymore to open up doors, and I don't know if she's still, willing, to do something strange for some change in order to get into spaces anymore. She a little too old for that now. So it'd be interesting to see what's on the horizon for Kamala. However, yeah, hey Dion, I agree. Yeah, I agree. She is feeling nothing. I'm with you, Shanice. She ain't feeling nothing. Kamala she was sober enough to get through the inauguration ceremony, and she's probably, now she done hit the bottle, wallowing in her tears, saying, how do I get here? She over there looking at Doug like, you ain't good for nothing. She don't respect him. I don't know. It's just a sad state of affairs all the way around. Yeah. They're too conditioned to accept defeat. Probably so. Oh my goodness. No. Y'all better pray. If she runs for governor, I'm sure there are Californians out there that would support her. I just don't see it. The way they were bleeding for cash and the way she spent that money, people are not going to forget that. And the fact that she thinks she's qualified to run the state of California and she couldn't even be a good VP. How do you go from VP to governor? Isn't that like a step? I mean, once you've been the vice president, you just need to bow out and go write a book and go give money to charity or something. But you need to get out of politics. Like, no, nobody likes her. And she knows nobody likes her. I don't know why she thinks that's a good idea. I don't, Mickey got me cracking up. Mickey said Kamala's probably going to write a book, How I Was Burdened by Being Unburdened. I don't know. Here's the other thing. This doesn't have anything to do with politics, but this is a bonus one for you. I'm going to show you guys a video. I've been so burdened by creating a lot of political content that I've neglected to keep you guys abreast of what's going on, in these what do you call them? These fake Christian streets, like with these apostate preachers. I haven't really been keeping up too much because I've been incredibly distracted by the politics of it all. But someone sent me this Instagram video, and I wasn't surprised to see it, but I have some thoughts on it because it's just the stupidest thing. And this is probably going to offend some, and you'll be okay. But I want to share a video with you guys because Bishop William Murphy of the Dream Center, he has some very important news to share with you guys. And it doesn't have anything to do with his proclamation of gospel truth or a new missions summit that he's working on. It's nothing like that. This is way better. This news is way better than any of that. So I'm going to go ahead and share this video with you, and we're just going to talk about it.
I'm the 12, dog! And I be saying, dog! Can't wait to claim, dog! Cause I be singing, dog! And I be preaching, dog! I might be reaching, dog! Everything is working! For my good! And I'm out to say it's my season for grace.
Y'all, listen. at some point, and this is my personal opinion, sometimes there's just some things you're just too old for. Like, we have seasons, right? We have seasons in life, right? You have seasons and when you're a mom, and then you're an empty nester, and then you've got retirement. You have seasons of grade school and middle school, and y'all, life is in cycles, right? I'm struggling to understand how an alleged preacher of the word thought it would be profitable and useful and sensical. Like, ain't you like 50 or 55? Like, there are just some things that you are just too old to do, and a probate show at your age is one of them, especially when you're a pastor. Like, I get it. All of us have dreams and aspirations. When I was in undergrad, I wanted to do this, and the opportunity just never presented itself. And, now that I'm it's never too late. There are just some things that you'd be like, that season has passed for me. I'm good. We can have a theological discussion about what we just watched. Like, we're going to have that. We're going to have a theological discussion about it, and how the whole pledging to a fraternity or a sorority, especially as a pastor, is just incompatible with Christian faith. You may not agree or believe that this is false God worship, and that you're pledging to a false God, and that this is rooted and steeped in idolatry. And you may not be willing to go down to the depths of that discussion with me, and that is okay. It doesn't make it any less true. But I'm trying to understand, y'all, how old is William? William, you too old for this pimping. Like, you in full blown regalia. Like, you went off into it. Like, this is what 18 to 21, 22-year-olds do. This is undergrad. This is childish. At some point, you're supposed to, one, mature enough in the Lord to where you're past this. And then two, like, why is this on your bucket list of things to do? Why is not proclaiming Christ and him crucified? Like, why aren't you echoing the sentiments of the Apostle Paul? Like, I desire to know nothing among you except Jesus Christ and him crucified. Why is that not your mantra? Why are you out here skipping and diddly-dopping like you some 17-year-old that just stepped foot flat, just fresh off a campus somewhere? And ain't you like 50? Y'all, somebody make this make sense for me. One, like I said, we can have a theological discussion about the whole pledging thing. I've done videos on it. There are other Christian content creators who have broken down masterfully how pledging in these fraternities and sororities is incompatible with the Christian faith because of the roots and the foundations of it, the symbolism of it. I know subjectively you like, I'm not worshiping. Well, he looked like he was worshiping there. I mean, he didn't say that he was claiming Christ. He's claiming the bros. He's claiming the bros. Like, how are you a disciple of Christ and you are pledging your love, all your peace, and your happiness to a frat? Did Christ die for you? Or was it the false god of Omega Psi Phi that died for you? I'm just trying to figure out which one it is. And I get it. In undergrad, you're like, yeah, I pledged years ago, but I've kind of put that past me. Like, I'm not doing that anymore. Like, he's starting this journey now. And there are other quote unquote pastors who are also in frats and fraternities celebrating with him. So did you just, like, you felt like you wasn't part of the cool kids club and you had to do this so that you could gain some sort of acceptance now? So now that you're Greek now, so now we can expect, for you to be wearing your colors on a Sunday and doing more of this hippity hop foolishness on a Sunday in your church. Y'all, I'm telling you, the apostasy in these Black churches is real. Not all. There are some faithful shepherds who are concerned with shepherding the flock of God and are not interested skipping around in some juvenile gym talking about, everything's working for my good. Like, no. This is childish and silly. And on top of the fact, it is unbiblical and unchristian. It is. I'm not going to re-adjudicate. Like I said, I've already done a video on the history of these organizations and the fact that behind every false god is a demon. So if you want to worship demons, fine, go have at it. I'm just trying to understand, if this is who you want to be, just go and be that. Leave Jesus and God and the scripture, leave all of that out of it. Just go be that. Because this is confusing. But as the scriptures teach, false teachers are going to rise up from among us. This is not the first thing that William Murphy has done that lets us know that he's a false teacher. Outside of being a pulpit pimp, this is just another notch on the belt to affirm the apostasy that we had already been seeing. But to me, this right here is just funny. You too old for this. Like, all I could do is laugh at this point. Because I'm just like, you wait till you in your mid-millions to pledge a fraternity so that you can get affirmation and acceptance from the group. And then, isn't it sad how he kind of walked off like he's some little, college boy? Like, I'm in now. I'm one of you guys. I'm one of the group. I am. Thanks, guys. Been wanting to do this for a really long time. How do you pledge? Oh my God. How are you pledging at your age? Like, sometimes you have to have people around you that love you enough to be like, that season has passed, boo-boo. No. We're not doing that. No, you're too old to be doing that. Hell, see nothing wrong with it. I can guarantee you that there was no conviction of the Holy Spirit at all when William Murphy decided to do this and submit that application and pay his money and go through. I'm sure they pledged him, and then having this, not one time did he ever see what he was doing was incompatible with what the Bible teaches. Because he doesn't believe the Bible. Like, the Bible is an accessory. It is not the main event in this man's life. How do we know this? Based on how he runs his church, based on what he preaches from the pulpit, the blasphemous things he has said, the blasphemous things he has done publicly. I'm not in this man's personal business. I don't know what he got going on now. I do know he got like a little outside baby, but listen, he disqualified himself a long time ago. But this is just like more fuel on the fire to substantiate the fact that he is not a pastor. He is a motivational speaker with a voice that people love and happens to sing songs that, encourage some. They do. Praise is what I do. I ain't gonna take that from him. I used to like that song. I really do. But at some point, you got to start looking at these pastors and accepting them for who they are telling you they are. They are telling you, I am not of Christ. I love this world. I love this present world. I'm of my father, the devil. Like, that's what they're telling you. With this outward display of this false God worship being celebrated by other apostate pastors, at some point, the inner witness and the testimony of the Holy Spirit should be like, why would a pastor do this? Is he doing this in ignorance? I argue no. He is well aware. He's seen the YouTube videos. He has heard people make strong apologetic arguments for how this is incompatible with Christianity, but he doesn't care because he lives to feed his flesh, not to please God. Plain and simple. But I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny that a whole grown man was out here skipping to the loo in full, fraternity regalia at 50-some years old. Like he just crossed, like it was like this is 1988. I was like, wow, this is how we do it. He do got some hits. I don't know. That's the only song I really know about his. Yeah. So anyway, that's probably next. That's probably next. I'm sure. That's probably next. For me, they don't. I don't listen. I don't listen to his stuff anymore. It's hard. It's hard. But then again, you know, I understand that, for example, people have snapshots and seasons in their life. Like our sanctification is this journey. It is the full length of our Christian walk. And there are going to be segments in that sanctification journey that are just more bumpy than others, right? Like you're just going to have seasons where you are like, I feel so far and distant from the Lord right now. And then there are other times when you feel like, you know, y'all just as thick as thieves. It's because sanctification is a journey. And because we're still living, we have indwelling sin, and we're still living in our unglorified bodies, is why you are at war with sin. But there's a difference between being at war in sin, with sin, and it's just like everything you do, you're just leaning into the sin. Like that's what we doing. And so for that reason, me personally, I would never tell someone you should not listen to X, right? I would never do that. If you're not convicted, then that's fine. But I ain't listening. I'm not buying this music. I'm not doing that. But like I look at someone like a Fred Hammond. There was this season in his life where the music that man was writing was some of the most theologically solid lyrics you had ever heard. I mean, it was straight scripture, pages of life, purpose by design. Some of his albums, I mean, you're just like, the Lord was with you when you were writing this. And they will never go out of style. And I don't know what he's doing in his life now. And I don't, whatever he's doing in his life now, or he's straight away, he might, I don't know. I don't keep up with Fred like that. But there was something about that season in his life where he wrote those were masterpieces. Like, Give Me a Clean Heart, When We Praise. I mean, he has a catalog. You put the whole album on and you're going to be on that floor face down snotting. I guarantee it. Some of his stuff just does that. And then you look at, on this side, this many years later, you're like, what happened? What happened to you? Like, what you going through? That's a little different than what we're seeing from William Murphy. That's a little different. But yeah, let's see. Man, listen. Me too. But I will put his old stuff on in heavy rotation because it is just it's not like the gospel music of today, which is very man-centered. It's always about, your season, harvest, favor, breakthrough, increase, what God gonna do for you. A lot of Fred's old music was literally Spirit of David. I mean, it was the Psalms. It was, God, you are sovereign. You are creator. This whole album is about you. Like, I ain't nowhere up and through here. It is all about you. That's the difference. Music like that is more God-centered than man-centered. That's the kind of music that I like. I don't always like listening to what God is going to give me. It's like, no, worship is one way. It's upward, right? And he's the center of it. We are giving him worship. And so if Fred's old catalog was just a lot of that. And I mean, they don't make music like that anymore. They just don't. They do not. I saw a few super chats that I missed. I am so sorry. Corey was back. I'm so sorry. Hey, Corey. Corey says, woo! Mississippi Valley Band just showed up and showed out, April. So proud of them and slapping these black elites right in their face. I got to go back and watch that. I am sure that they did their best. So I got to go back and watch that. Mississippi Valley, you guys, is the HBCU that was invited to play in Trump's parade. And Corey just confirmed that they did the darn thing. So not only did they raise the money to go, they actually went and they played well. Speaking of which, I want to talk a little bit about, and then I'm going to get up and go because I got to cook dinner. I don't even know what we're eating. I think we're doing baked chicken and something else. Probably chicken, broccoli, keep it basic. I'm trying to lower my carb intake. So I want to talk a little bit about all of these hip hop artists and rappers who all of a sudden wanted to come and hang out with Teflon Don for the inauguration, many of which, not all, but many of which, who had some unflattering and unsavory things to say about Donald Trump in the past. I've already done a video, and it was an impromptu video on Snoop Dogg. If you haven't watched that, it's short. I was just in the car on my way somewhere, and I just had to let it rip. But you had so many of these rappers who were just, F Donald Trump, now all of a sudden want to kiss the ring. And here are my thoughts on that. I'm not into cancel culture. Get your bread. I don't have to buy your stuff, but make your money. I just want to caution Republicans or the conservative segment of the nation. We don't need to be propping these rappers up as if they need to be somebody that they need to have a spotlight. I'm sorry. I'm just saying, you out here smoking weed, talking about doing all kinds of perverse things to women. Like you don't represent. Those are not the types of people that we need to be given, hearty approval to. Now, if you want to come and hang, that's fine. What's the ulterior motive? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what they feel that they're going to need from Donald Trump. And now all of a sudden they want to show up and the things that they said before. Are we supposed to, are you telling the truth now or are you telling the truth back then? Now, one rapper in particular that I had to respect, I don't have to like your music or how you live your life, but I at least was willing to say I respect that, was Nelly. Nelly got some backlash because he's actually performing. And there was a Jerome Crow Negro that he was being interviewed by that tried to be like, you don't think this is a slap in the face to your people. And Nelly's like, well, first of all, let's get something clear. I'm an entertainer. I rap, I make music. I make people feel good. I was invited to perform. Nelly's like, I didn't know that me deciding whether to accept or not accept an invitation was predicated upon what political figure I support or not. This is my job. I was invited. He was like, whether I was invited by Donald Trump or Joe Biden, it's the friggin' president. Whoever invites me, I'm going to go. I don't have to have voted for you. I don't have to like you or support you. But if you're asking me to come, it's an honor. I'm going to go. Right? Very logical, practical, business-minded decision. Nelly then goes on to say, he said, well, wait a minute. Let's kind of examine this. He said, Donald Trump was the one that said, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. He's like, well, no, wait a minute. That wasn't Donald Trump. That was Joe Biden. Wrong president. Then he goes, Donald Trump was the one who helped craft the 94 crime bill. He was like, no, wrong again. That was Joe Biden. He just kept going down the list of all of the things that Joe Biden did policy-wise that showed you who he was and showed you that he did not have the best interest of not just Americans, but particularly Black Americans at heart. But yet he's like, you want to have smoke for me? You want to have smoke for me because I'm going to play at Donald Trump's inauguration? He was like, man, screw you and the horse you came in on here. I don't care. Say whatever it is you want. Most of these people who have something adverse to say are people who have nothing going on. They impact no policy change in the communities where they serve. They're just online running their mouths talking. That's it. They don't know what the issues are. They really think that the Heritage Foundation actually formulates policy. They believe that. They really thought Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation was somehow a part of the Trump administration and was actually implementing policy. They really believe that. I can't help the dumb. I can't help the dumb, blind, and ignorant. I can't. All you can do is try to educate people try to inform them of the issues, and then they govern themselves accordingly. But I like what Nelly did. Why? Because it takes courage to stand up against these leftist bullies, because they always want a virtue signal, but none of them are paying your bills, right? When this economy was in the trash, and even celebrities were like, yo, like my bottom line is being impacted significantly. None of those people were buying your music. They didn't buy it then, and they're not going to buy it now. So they are insignificant. I also applauded Carrie Underwood. Carrie did something interesting today that actually made me chuckle. She sang God Bless America right after, I can't remember if it was before or after Trump took the oath of office. And they messed up her music, but she was the consummate professional. Oh, and she is pretty. I did not realize that girl was that gorgeous. I haven't been keeping up with her. She looked like she lost some weight. I wonder if she's on that Ozempic, because listen, I was looking at her jawline. I was like, whatever she did, can I get some? I'm just joking. No, I'm not. But whatever she did, she just looked amazing in that blush dress. Makeup was flawless. Hair was just glowing and shiny. She looked beautiful. But Carrie sang, they messed up her music, and she just, was being a professional. And she did something that the news media is probably going to try to make it a thing. She shook the hand of Joe Biden, because Joe, the whole time she was singing, Joe and his little nasty perverted self, he was just looking at her with, what that look that he have in his eye when he sees something he wants, like it's an ice cream cone. He was looking at Carrie like she was an ice cream cone. She shook his hand, and then she shook J.D. Vance's hand, and then she shook President Trump's hand. But you know whose hand she didn't shake? She didn't shake Kamala's hand. She didn't shake Kamala's hand. I thought it was funny. Now, I already know the liberal left going to say, see, she racist. She racist. We got to cancel her. I don't care. I thought it was funny. She knew Kamala didn't want to shake nobody's hand. Carrie didn't want to shake her hand. Like, she just didn't do it. Honestly, I think what happened was when she turned around, Joe was right there, and she would have had to go this way. She was working her way this way. She shook Joe, she shook what's his name, and then she shook Trump, and then she left. I don't care. It didn't bother me. I wouldn't have shook Kamala's hand either. Well, that would have been hard. I probably would have tried to be an adult and be mature about it, but nobody likes Kamala. I don't know, when are we going to get that? What the Democrats should have known better. They should have known that didn't nobody like that woman. Doug Emhoff don't even like Kamala. He just tolerating her. And she's spending up all his money. Won't take his name. But yeah. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say about these music industry performers. I think we need to get back to a time where, I get it, politics is polarizing. But if you're an entertainer, you entertain. Like Michael Jackson would have showed up regardless of who invited him. Janet Jackson would have probably showed up regardless of who invited her, because they come from a time and an era where it was like, this is my work. I entertain. I unify people. Americans like good music. And pop stars like Mike and Janet would have shown up because, first of all, Joe Jackson was their daddy. And he was like, listen, is the check going to clear? Do it cash the same? Well, get your behind out there and go play. Like, that's Joe Jackson. He would have been like, don't nobody care about no racism. The money's green. People want to see you. You're going to go out there, you're going to perform, and you're going to be the best. That's the era that Mike and Janet came from. So the idea, these new school artists, though, they can't decide if they want to be activists or artists. So what they do is they take these polarizing positions versus saying, This is not hard. If I was some sort of R&B singer or whatever, a lot of these artists don't realize there's some of them, not all of them, some of them are so influential that they can dictate the sway of the culture by what they say or what they don't say. So when you take a position like, listen, politics is real polarizing right now. Let me tell you something. I make good music. I sing because my fans want to see me show up. I'm not in the business of polarizing people more. I'm interested in bringing people together around a shared narrative that y'all like my music. So whether you are a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, if you like my music, you like my music. My music and my public persona has nothing to do with my politics. So you got one more time to ask me who I'm voting for before I bid you a good day, and then you don't get no more interviews. Don't bring up no politics. That would be me. If I was a rapper or an R&B singer, it would be that simple. You shut the conversation down. I don't owe you an explanation regarding who I'm voting for. The mature thing to do is like, oh, if the Biden campaign wants me to come, okay, I'll be there. How much you paying? Great. Send the contract to my people. Trump campaign wants you to come. Oh, okay. How much you paying? Okay, well, send a check. Send the paperwork to my people. It's real simple. But we've allowed politics to polarize us so much. And I get it. The worldviews and the platforms are polar opposites. What a lot of these R&B artists and rappers and country music singers don't realize is that we don't watch them. We pay them to perform and make us feel good. We don't really, unless you're just crazy and deranged, care about a person's politics, but it's irrelevant. It is irrelevant. And the moment these artists become activists is when they become a turnoff. People want to go to a concert and they want to leave the political foolery out there. They don't come for that. They don't. And you can never please everybody. But the one thing that would be wise for you to do if you are an artist is to say, I don't get paid to be an activist. I get paid to perform. And I perform for all people of all stripes, colors, nationalities, ethnicities, and political affiliations. I don't care. That's how it needs to be. Instead of people don't need to be afraid of the left. They need to stand up to the left and tell them, listen, I don't owe you an endorsement. You don't need to know who I endorse. Like, why are you so insecure and unable to formulate your own opinion that finding out who I'm supporting is going to sway whether you like or not support me anymore? It's stupid. And these artists need to learn that. Some of them going to learn the hard way that you need to talk to your audience and just tell them, I'm an entertainer. If you're looking to me so that you can establish public policy, you got the wrong entertainer. I did not come here for that. No one pays me to get on stage. Well, that's not true. I was going to say no one pays these people to get on stage and endorse candidates, but Kamala did that, but it didn't work, right? So I'm hoping the music industry learns from this and realizes that we are Americans and America is beautiful, and you don't owe nobody an explanation. You entertain. Now go on, get up on that stage and play me a song. Sing it well, and that's it. I don't care about all that. But that's all I have to say about that. But anyway, that's good. I hope he does pardon J6. We have a few super chats that I missed. Crystal P, thank you so much for your support today. Crystal P says, why is there no law to remove birthright citizens? Well, technically, we have the 14th Amendment, but it's being abused. And it's probably going to require the Supreme Court is probably going to have to listen and hear and interpret that in light of how the framers intended for it to work. I don't really know the answer to that, but the reason why it's happening is because of an abuse or misinterpretation of that 14th Amendment. So technically there is a law, but liberals don't believe in the Constitution. They always want to change it and move the goalposts to fit their agenda. So they're not interested in preserving and maintaining the integrity of the Constitution. Their goal is to always challenge it and have it being this living, breathing document that evolves. Just like their view on gender and sexuality and marriage evolves, they want the Constitution to be the same way. And that's why it's a problem. We also have the ENT shop. Hey, bro. He says all lost Black folk need to read the Iron Triangle. You know what? He is so right. That book changed my life. So the Iron Triangle is a book that my brother is referring to. It's written by Vince Everett Ellison. And that book talks about this triangle, this I don't know if it's isosceles or what's the other name of it? There's three different types of triangles, but see, I'm getting off into the weeds. The Black preacher, the Black civil rights worker, and the Black politician. Those are the three legs of the Iron Triangle that the way Vince masterfully breaks that down will answer so many questions as to what's going on with the Black community and why we are stuck. He explains it. I don't want to give it away, but you need to get that. That book changed my life. And I treat that book as a reference tool. I always have to go back to it and reference it. And I am so incredibly blessed and honored to be able to represent Vince as a client now, and to work with him on so many projects. He is an amazing author and a national treasure, with a brain that doesn't have I don't know where he stores the historical information and the things that this man knows. It's just like in there. It's like deep in there, and it just pours it out like water. It's like an infinite supply of knowledge. And for a person that is just very, very interested in soaking up knowledge and learning all that you can, his book, The Iron Triangle, which was his very first book, is the perfect place to start. You start there, you will never be the same. I don't know anybody that's read that book that walked away doubling down in their foolishness. That book forces you to contend with what you've been told, and it forces you to contend with your observable reality. Look around you. You're like, okay, Democrat district, apostate Black churches, civil rights leaders, the outcomes are not matching what they claim to promise. Something's not adding up, and somebody is lying. Thank you for that suggestion. ENT shop, you're right. You're absolutely right. We have another super chat from Daniel Foster. Thank you, brother Daniel, for that super chat. He says the cold weather helps stop the riots, like what happened in Trump's first 2016 election win. God blesses in mysterious ways. You're right. God's sovereign hand has been all up and through. God, none of these things. I like to say that there are no maverick molecules. God is sovereignly involved in all of the affairs of man. All of the affairs. And everything is playing out and happening just as he ordained, even down to the weather. I'm glad that certain events happen inside, and that the cold weather is probably preventing many people from showing out and acting a fool. I don't think these people are crazy. They don't want to mess with Trump. I don't think they want to mess with Trump. And so, they might be able to, if people want to peacefully protest, we have the right to assembly. But the moment y'all start, acting a fool and showing out, we can't have lawlessness. That's not okay. Regardless of whose side is on, we can't have lawlessness. We can't have that. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. We've talked about just a few things that we're looking forward to under Trump's presidency in 2025. I am interested. Liv, I'm gonna watch it when I get off with you. I got to go back. This Friday, I will be here in Atlanta, Georgia. If you're here in Atlanta, Friday at 11 a.m., there is the Georgia Right to Life Stand for Life Silent March. I'll be one of the speakers at Liberty Plaza this Friday. If you're in Metro Atlanta, I would encourage you to join me. You guys, Roe v. Wade has been overturned, but we are still in a raging battle fighting for the lives of our preborn neighbors. Here in the state of Georgia, we have a heartbeat bill, but it's not enforced, and babies are still being murdered here. And so I'll be giving my testimony. Virgil Walker of G3 Ministries, my fellow co-laborer in this fight, will be there. He is the keynote for this event. And then we're going to culminate the event with a silent march. We're going to walk to the Capitol, around Georgia State and to the Capitol. Don't know how cold it's going to be, but I'm willing to do it because all lives matter, especially our preborn neighbors. And I am uniquely attached to this fight because I know what it's like. I'm not coming from a place of judgment, but I've been on that side where you're making that decision and you choose the sinful one. I've been there. And then I also know what life through Christ, redemption and hope in Christ looks like this side of that decision. And so I want to be a voice for the voiceless. Over 65% of the babies that are murdered in this state share my ethnic image if they were allowed to live. And knowing what we know about the Black community being beyond the rate of replacement, we can't holler and scream Black Lives Matter if we can't start with our preborn neighbors and plead for their lives, urging their mamas to not kill their baby. The Black community will be done soon if we don't start having families again. And I'm not saying have babies, having families, just doing stuff the right way, right? We're not going to survive. I'm going to be an endangered species pretty soon, right? Listen, our numbers are dwindling. You need at least 2.1 to replace the generation before you. Our rate of replacement, we're below it. We're at like 1.2, something like that. It's not good. And so I don't just get on YouTube running my mouth pontificating about what I think people should do. I am in this fight. Whether that means donating money to pro-life causes, whether that is supporting actual pregnancy centers to provide goods and services to these abortive-minded women who decide to choose life, whether that is using my voice and my platform to educate you guys on what's going on. The Lord, Chad is calling me. Give me a second, Chad. I'll call you back. I'll call you right back. Another thing, Chad's documentary. It was supposed to drop today, but I told Chad he was being a little bit ambitious. And so he dropped an abbreviated version of his documentary today. I think you can go over to Chad O. Jackson's channel and see that. He's working on a documentary about MLK, asking, was he an American hero or a Marxist thug, right? He's not holding any punches there about the options for you to choose. But I encourage you to go to his channel and watch that documentary. I had the pleasure of being in Virginia with Chad a few weeks ago as we filmed the last segments or sections of that documentary. Teach 'em Chuck is in it. Chuck Littleton is in it. Vince Everett Ellison is in it. Chad O. Jackson's in it. I think Virgil Walker is actually going to be in it. So many purposeful patriarchs of our time are going to be in that film. So I wanted to at least tell you guys about it. I'll probably end the show with the trailer for you guys to watch. And then you can govern yourself to go watch that accordingly. But if you're in Atlanta, join me this Friday at 11 a.m. at Liberty Plaza, which is downtown Atlanta, right across from the state capitol for the Georgia Stand for Life rally and silent march. I will be marching for the lives of our preborn neighbors because we're in a desperate situation now, and someone has to advocate for these babies. And so I'll be there doing that. So other than that, you guys, I love you with the love of the Lord. Until next time, stick around. I'm going to play Chad's trailer so you can learn a little bit more about the film. And then I'll probably link it in the description box below after the live stream ends. But until next time, you guys, grace and peace. The Teflon Don is back. I love you guys. Okay, the file is not found. Let me play it this way. Oh, wow, darn. Where's the promo? Oh, no, y'all, I forgot to load it. I am so sorry. Well, I have a lot of files. I have a lot of files on my computer. So let me see if I can find it. If not, y'all just going to have to go straight to Chad's channel. Yeah, let's see.
What is the state of modern conservatism in America?
They're demon rats.
No, he's a rhino.
Is it strong and reliable, capable of preserving our constitutional republic? Or is it weak, pathetic, and unprincipled?
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
On January 20th, Trump will be inaugurated once again as the President of the United States.
The theme for this year's Martin Luther King Jr. holiday.
Also on January 20th is so-called Martin Luther King Day. Now, while Trump is giving his speech, I'm sure he's going to invoke Martin Luther King and talk about how great of a man he was. The problem with that is King was no conservative.
Undergoing a radical redistribution of economic power.
In fact, most of the things that King advocated for were actually hostile to America, not pro-America, contrary to what you've learned in your public schools. So why is it that so-called conservatives insist on placing MLK on this pedestal? Trump isn't the only one.
Goes against everything Martin Luther King has ever told us.
The Reverend Dr. King famously said,
I have a dream that my...
I have a dream speech, right? One of the great speeches in American rhetorical history.
He was passionately pro-Constitution.
As eloquent and polished as many of your favorite conservative influencers and commentators are, why are they so naive to the clandestine and covert nature of Marxian globalists, credulously going along with the propagandized narrative rather than challenging their audiences to not be so simple-minded when it comes to what's really at play?
Nearly 60 years later, radical far-left Democrats are doing everything possible to eliminate this dream through the implementation of critical race theory.
How can you take a stand against critical race theory and DEI and Black Lives Matter when you support the civil rights movement, which is the very foundation on which those things stand? There's another thing that will be happening on January 20th. I will be releasing a project, or at least part of a project, that exposes the civil rights movement for what it really was. The Bible says, do not be taken captive by hollow and deceptive philosophies. This isn't about Republican versus Democrat. The truth is deeper and bigger than that. The question is, are you ready for it?